right, time to shit on AEW then. Right, the Young Bucks. They can't keep their mouth shut, can they? So, did you watch AEW Dynamite this week?
God, no.
So, to be fair, excellent, except for the main event, which was fucking embarrassing. But other than that, brilliant. And I highly recommend people check out the Middle-Aged Bucks versus Pac and Ray Phoenix. Masterpiece. Fucking amazing.
It helps when one team can carry the other.
Yeah, exactly. When you've got Pac and Phoenix, they can carry the other two scrubs. But yeah, the Young Bucks, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, they have defended AEW for having so many factions on their roster. So you don't need to know, obviously, that there are a large amount of factions going on. It's ridiculous. There are so many of them.
And I can think of it like at least 5.
Exactly. That's a big problem. So in an interview with Scott Fishman of TV Insider, Nick Jackson compared AEW to NJPW. And said that it's easier to get more people involved with different groups rather than booking them in angles as solo acts. That immediately, I need to take in a toss for that immediately because, this is why people are taking a piss. It's all-inclusive wrestling. It's not all elite. New Japan Pro Wrestling has been booking factions for more than 40 years and they're still around, said Nick. I see the argument, but I think North American fans have never seen this many at one time. They are used to 1, 2, or 3 stables in a company. It's easier to book angles. It's easy to get more people involved with different groups. If you're not aligned in a stable, you're alone, and that's hard to book sometimes. There's so many things I could take to task here. That's why we have a lot of factions. It has clearly worked. Again, fuck you, mate. You're clueless. Meanwhile, Matt Jackson, in character, of course, called out fickle internet fans for turning on him and his brother. Because this is kayfabe, I'm not going to shit on this too much because, heels. Although I'd never know whether to heel or face from week to week because AEW doesn't know how to.
Because they're shit actors.
Yeah, very, very fucking shit. Only one of them ever cuts promos. Have you noticed that as well? The one who's got the receding forehead. He seems to always cut promos. The other one just stares there blankly. Huh? It's so weird. Fans are fickle, stress Matt. They are only with you when you're underground. As soon as you go mainstream, they start turning on you. True Young Bucks fans will always be our fans, but there are ones who come and go. A lot of that we see on the internet now. It's really toxic. That's the reason we deleted our Twitter account over a year ago, but it's fun now to bring our frustrations out. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'm going to make you not like me even more. I literally dislike you so much that I just don't bother watching your product. The only reason I watched it this week is because Pac and Ray Phoenix are the two best in the world at what they do. It's as simple as that. So what do you think about this, the Young Bucks in non-kayfabe defending the fact that AEW has a severe faction problem? There was a lot of comments there that were rather hilarious. One saying that it's difficult to book people if they're on their own. Obviously, these guys haven't watched wrestling since, I want to say, 1870. Until today, and also talking about the fact that it's just easier to book angles, and of course that the multiple factions has apparently worked for them, even though their ratings have been steadily decreasing week after week.
I mean, in my opinion, the point of a stable is to get, you put some guys together, but there's one of those guys you kind of really want to get over. So you use the group as a vehicle to get that one person over. Use Evolution for an example. I guess there was 2 there, really. But, you used Evolution. You had Triple H and Flair, but you used it to get Orton and Batista over.
You also use it as a vehicle to bring people up to the level of the main guy who's in it.
Exactly.
The great thing about the Four Horsemen was that it enhanced Ric Flair's reputation while also bringing other guys up alongside them. All of a sudden, Arn Anderson went from just being a good ring hand to being the enforcer, and people were like, take him fucking seriously. Don't fuck around. Tully Blanchard was always a world-class mic worker, a savage heel, and he just, having the Four Horsemen on him, that gave them the final notch to be able to say, okay, we've gone from being stars to mega stars. So it does have useful thoughts, but how you can say that Matt Hardy's money brand has been successful is frankly laughable. This just shows that the Young Bucks are completely out of touch with wrestling. I know this is going to upset a lot of the AEW marks, but they're completely out of touch. Okay, the way they've worded that right there is so pathetic. This is why I made the term all-inclusive wrestling. They believe that, for instance, they're saying it's easier to book angles if you've got, we can get more people involved. What do you mean more people involved? Ah, yes, because everybody deserves a turn at AEW, don't they? Oh, you're shit, but don't worry about it. We'll put you in a faction so you're relevant. No, this is why people are laughing at your product, and this is why you're having decreasing ratings, because, first of all, the booking is fucking shit. And don't get me wrong, I have loads of ideas that could probably help improve AEW. I'm sure loads of people do who have even the slightest understanding of how to write anything creatively, never mind TV. But it fucking winds me up because once again, they haven't given any factual evidence to prove how it's working or what they're doing that makes it work. All they're doing is just making excuses. Immediately, like, yeah, but we're giving people opportunities. Yeah, but how do you explain the fact that so many more people are now critiquing the fact you've got more factions? They don't answer any of that. They're like politicians. They duck all those fucking questions. But because they're, people think
super
they're liberals.
popular.
Yeah, they're popular and people think they're liberals, which is really funny because they're not. They're actually Donald Trump supporters. They are huge Republicans, the Young Bucks. Really makes me laugh. Because people think that they're kind of like super liberal and they're against the evil WWE machine. They're a machine too, okay? These machines have a finite amount of bullshit, before they just run out. It's so funny. It really is. People will literally swallow anything AEW says because they are desperate, and I mean desperate, to believe that they are the cure for the cancer, the evil disease that is WWE. But the reality is you can will it into existence all you want, but if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, when AEW first formed, you had the Inner Circle. That was I think the only faction they had on the first Dynamite.
Yeah,
that was that was fine. That was cool.
The elite, but like they weren't like
they weren't like they are now.
Tag team together, but Kenny Omega was doing his thing. The Young Bucks were doing their thing.
Yeah, and then let's try and count out. You've got the Inner Circle, who are faces now, I guess. I don't know. Was it the Pinnacle or Pinnacle? Is that the other one now that
Pineapple? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then you just talking about Matt Hardy having some people. I know he was with Private Party for a while. I don't know if he still is.
Yeah, so I'm thinking you got the Inner Circle, you got the Pinnacle, you've got Team Taz, which is fucking awful. You've got Matt Hardy's group, fucking awful. You got the Dork Order. Who else you got? There's other. You've got
Best Friends. Would you count Best Friends?
Yeah, because they've now got Chris Statlander as well. So there's 4 of them. So that's a faction. You've also got the Nightmare Factory. The Nightmare Family, sorry. You've now got the Factory, which is QT Marshall's faction. So because they split Nightmare Factory down the middle.
Okay. We're at 8 so far, by the way.
8.
We're at 8.
That's ridiculous. Not to mention the fact that obviously Moxley's running around Eddie Kingston. It's fucking stupid, and it's actually quite embarrassing. And do you know what really winds me up? All these same people are like, yeah, WCW went out of business because they were stupid. Oh, they put too many factions. Oh, why is there so many people in the NWI? Why is there another NWI? Why is there black and white? Why is there red and black? And blah, 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 blah. But as soon as AEW does, it's fucking great. And it's amazing. Like I say, AEW fans, what fucks me off about them? Don't get me wrong. I know full well that WWE fans can be just as toxic, but we're not talking about WWE. We're talking about AEW's problems. And this is the problem with AEW fans. They do not want to engage in criticism. They truly believe that their content, that their creation, that their show is untouchable, completely infallible to any kind of critiques. And do you know what happens when you think that way? Ultimately, you set yourself up for a much bigger failure.
I think my biggest takeaway, my biggest problem with that is when he says that it's very difficult to book somebody by themselves. If you can't book a single superstar to do anything, that is a failure as a writer and as a company. Yeah. Because for example, I'm just going to use it, like your world champion is a single star. If you can't book someone to that level to face Kenny Omega, even if I don't think he's the best, he's the world champion, it is what it is. But if you can't book someone to that level to face him, then you have failed all of your single superstars.
Do you know what it is? They're too fucking lazy to build single stars because I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that Pac could not run your entire company as the lead champion. Pac is tenfold more believable as a heel champion than Kenny Omega ever will be. He's Kenny Omega swanning around, dressed like Elton John, looking like some fucking metrosexual cosplay. you know, Pac comes out, looks like a monster, talks so beautifully on the microphone. This is why I get fucking pissed off with AEW, because you got guys like Pac, you got guys like Trent, you got guys like Rusev, guys who could legitimately be megastars, and instead you just fucking hamstring them in dumb angles. Rusev comes out right on Dynamite this week and says, you know what? Oh, I'm not gonna, be held back by Kip Sabian and everything else that's going on. If you hold gold, I'm coming for you. I'm a monster. Blah blah. It's like, where the fuck was this 6 months ago?
Oh, you mean when he debuted and shouldn't have been the whole best man to begin with?
It's actually embarrassing. They don't fucking know. Tony Khan is a shit booker, and I am tired of people trying to pretend like he's not. He is a fucking garbage booker. He has a terrible creative team, which apparently is just him and a couple of scrubs and QT Marshall. That's great, mate. I'm sorry, but I can see right through your bullshit. Okay? And, for instance, Dynamite this week, great, because it was simplistic. Because less is more. But they still have to fuck it up by having the main event, right, was Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Falls count anyway. Would you hazard a guess as to how many people got involved in this match?
I'm going to say 7.
So we had Private Party. Okay. We had Sting. We had Lance Archer. We had half the Dark Order. I think all of the Dark Order, actually.
Okay, well, that already beats 7.
Who else did we have? Oh, fuck me. There was all kinds of stuff going off. It was ridiculous. People were doing run-ins mid-match. They were trying to get other people over. Like, apparently, not this week, but I think last week, AEW had 70 different personalities at one point or another on their one TV show. 70.
In 2 hours?
In 2 hours, okay? Whether that be promos, backstage, or out there, or getting involved, or at ringside, 70 in a 2-hour format. Don't fucking come at me about bloated rosters. Eventually, you're going to have to release some talent. Do you know why they set up Elevation, the AEW Dark Elevation?
So they wouldn't have to?
Yeah, exactly, because they need to. They have no choice. That's not because they want to expand their business. Go fuck yourself. It's because they haven't got a choice. I'm not stupid. Come on. It's 70 people on one TV show. It's a clusterfuck. It's embarrassing. Do you know what happens then? You water down your potential to have stars. Because, yeah, Hangman Page is amazing. Pac is amazing. Ray Phoenix is amazing. Penta is amazing. But you don't see them. They're lost in the shuffle. It's ridiculous. It's much harder to fish for something that's elite when ultimately you've got a million fucking scrubs running around them. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the most bloated and embarrassing roster. But if WWE do it, of course, it's terrible,
It's just the people fighting so hard against WWE is exactly as you've said, like 100 times. WWE does something like, no, crucify them, burn them alive, go to Stanford and kill them. But you do it fucking down AEW. They're like, man, that's so smart. I can't believe Tony did this. He's such a good guy, man. I wish I could give him a high five. Yeah, I'll give him a high five to his fucking face.
I'll give him a high five in his fucking bollocks, mate. It's ridiculous.